Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of WrestleZone, and today I am once again joined by the queen of the silver screen, Katie Arquette. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I am so good to be chatting with you again, Miss Ma'am. We'll obviously get into it a little bit later, but it felt appropriate because it is Halloween season. This is going to be coming out on Halloween Day. I know that's your favorite holiday. You are the queen of the silver screen, so you know your Halloweens and spooky films. We'll get into that a bit later, though. So I'm so glad to have you here for this occasion. Thank you so much.
Whew, yes, it's my favorite holiday, so I'm excited.
Same, but I wanted to talk about, obviously, before we get into Halloween and all that, something that happened at the beginning of this month. That was the release of the PWI Women's 250 list, where you ranked number 232. Congratulations, very well deserved. You're going to keep climbing higher and higher, obviously. What was your initial reaction to receiving this honor, and maybe what did it mean to you?
It meant a lot to me. I saw it and I was kind of taken back because I was like, wow, I finally am on this list, this pristine list, right? And I think it shows something about the PWI. It shows a lot of acknowledgement, and I think there's a lot of wrestlers that, get missed or, should be on that list too. But I feel like it's such a good acknowledgement to wrestlers that are putting in all the work. And I feel like this year specifically, I feel like has been my biggest stride. And to see that recognition and all the work that I had really put in, it really made me feel like I was on the right path. So it was definitely a really nice surprise and reminder of why I'm doing this and where I want to be.
Yeah, in the last 365 days, you've fought for a bunch of titles. You've won a few titles. Obviously, you've been building up a tag team, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, throughout this last year, the period was what, October to September. We'll just say like the last year, year and a half. What would you say are some of your proudest performances from an in-ring standpoint?
Oh my gosh. See, Ellie, you always come up with the best questions I'm not prepared for. Um, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of achievements, right? I mean, both as a singles wrestler and
Yeah.
newer tag team. And honestly, within the last 365 days since last September is when I did start my tag team, like with the production with Derek
Yeah.
Dillinger. And since then, there's been so many amazing opportunities that have fallen into our place and that we've taken after as well. And I think one of the biggest things is how many newer promotions we've debuted at and how many new states I've checked marked off personally. So that's been a huge success for me. And, with IWC being like the first ever four-time women's champion to marking at new promotions in Michigan, in New Jersey, New York, one specifically in Ohio is Unsanctioned Pro. That is one of my favorites that I love being at. It's always a great time. So honestly, just the quality, but I remember last time I spoke to you, it was more like quality over quantity. And now I feel like I
Yeah.
have a nice combination of both because the quality of where I've been going has been amazing and the quantity has been extreme. I no longer wrestle 1 to 2 times a week. It's more 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 times a week. And
Mhm.
it's very fulfilling. So the accomplishments that have come with it, with new promotions, new friends, and amazing matches with cool title opportunities has been worthwhile.
What do you think has been the best quality match for you, single standpoint and tag team throughout the last 365 days?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well,
So
not
for
the point of this, more like 400, but go on, yes.
okay, sure. Give or take a year.
Yeah.
I guess from a single standpoint, I think one of my favorite matches that I've had this year was with Zoe Sky. And that was, I mean, her and I have wrestled a lot more this year, actually. So there's been a lot of fun things with her as always. But we ended up doing a show in Ohio at Buckeye Championship Wrestling, and it was a no disqualification match. So we murdered each other, and it was amazing, and it was definitely fulfilling. But I think aside from that, we also wrestled at Greektown in Canada, and I
Yes.
think that was her first time there, and it just it blended so well together. Her and I have great chemistry in the ring, and she's one of my favorite frenemies of all time. And I think that was a very rewarding match because not only have we wrestled a million times over together, but we always remind each other why we're doing this and how far we've come, because I started wrestling her when I was only 4 months into the business, and she had been many years my senior.
Yeah.
So I think it just goes to show how much we push each other and how much those matches really mean. From a tag standpoint, God, there's been so many. I mean, some people that I like, Bulk Bronson and Gabby Forza, we've wrestled.
Congratulations to them for getting
I
married too,
know
just this a couple days ago.
that was
Halloween
amazing.
season, yeah.
Yes, oh my gosh, her beautiful black dress and just everything. I should have crashed the wedding. But no, like them, they've been great opportunities. But I think one of my favorite matches that I've had with Derek and I would probably be, well, that's so tough because we've done so much. Honestly, I think it might be with Gabby and Bulk Bronson. We wrestled them once at AIW, and it was the first time that Derek and I had a match, that like a tag match together, where we really had all of the pieces in line. And I feel like that was the first of many that this is only going to get better. And it has. So I think that is probably probably my favorite tag match of the year, because it really solidified the foundation that we intended to build, and we've done that.
Hmm. Now you mentioned you had, I think it was a hardcore or no DQ match, basically a hardcore stipulation against Zoe Sky. That kind of goes along with a recent picture of yours on Instagram where you're covered in blood. So can you tell me the story behind that image?
So that image specifically, that's the very first time that I got color in a ring, from a chair, nonetheless, to the face. And it was in at AIW. I think it was I forget exactly what show. I think it was J Lit. But it was in the summer 2 years ago, and it was a four-way tango with Jocelyn Navarro, Becca, and Ziggy Heim. And that match was a lot of fun. There were a lot of moving parts. And with matches that are no DQ or just simply hardcore, you know the factors and the risks that you're taking.
Yeah.
So as I was in there, I got smacked in the head with the chair and rolled out of the ring. And then whenever I got back in the ring, I was just dripping with blood. And all I remember is like, where's the camera? I'm in pain, but I know it was cool
Yeah.
somewhere, somehow. And as soon as I got to the back, the doctor comes to me, but the promoter comes right up to me and just takes a picture. He's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "All right." So I was like, it was a great picture, and it definitely showed a lot of character, that's for sure. And it got over pretty well on social media.
Yeah. So now you know that you can do these hardcore spots. Maybe not all the time. Um, but yeah, you
It
you can.
definitely proved I could hang, because that got me a match at AIW against Mance Warner.
Oh
So the
yeah.
fact that I was like, oh, okay, oh
Mhm.
no, was this a good thing? But I still held my own, and
Mhm.
it was a fun match. So it definitely
Yeah.
got more opportunities, that's for sure.
Yeah, a big part of your last year, like you said, has been your tag team appearances with Derek Dillinger as a part of the production. I know the tag team name itself is self-explanatory because your moniker, it goes along with that. Where and when did you first meet Derek?
So that's funny. We actually talked about this the other day. I was like, when did I meet you? Because I feel like I've always known who
Just
you
knowing you,
are.
yeah.
I've known who you, because whenever, I think I told you before, maybe I when I first started, and I'm trying to, right before I'm about to debut, they're like, you would be a perfect match with that Cleveland guy. He's this director, Derek Direction. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and then I look and I was like, he's really good. I'm not good because I'm brand new. I don't think that like he's gonna be like, who
Yeah.
is she? No way, no thank you. And it wasn't until Stomp Out Cancer show, I think it was in the Pittsburgh area, that I actually met him. And I was a few months into my debut at that point. So him and I had crossed paths. We had crossed paths over the next year or two at other promotions. So we knew of each other, added each other on Facebook, followed each other type of deal. But it really wasn't until he started coming to IWC. And then when I debuted at AIW back in 2021 or 2022, and that's when him and I really just befriended each other more. And we've always been really close, or we've always been really good friends. We've always connected on a different level. And I feel like as we've teamed up since last September, our chemistry has grown and he's become one of my closest friends.
Yeah, he's I think an 11-year veteran at this point. You've got about you got about 7 years. It's gonna get up there to 10 though, time flies by so fast, Katie.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe this kind of answers this next question, but it kind of seemed like a natural fit. But what flipped the switch and led you to finally make that decision to team together? You have similar aesthetics, kind of blend really well, but what really kicked off deciding to officially team together?
I think it was after I had feuded with Jocelyn at AIW. So I
Yeah.
would say it was 2021. And that's when I started coming in. That whole year. I was just trying to make myself known at AIW, make the most of this debut, this feud. And I knew that, Derek has been in the production solely, and there's always
Yeah.
been people switching in and out of it. And I think at that point, he was more established of who the director is. It's not Derek direction, it's Derek Dillinger, and he
Yeah.
is in charge. He makes the movies, he calls all the shots. Me, I has become more of my own as this actress, this queen of the silver screen. A lot of things change aesthetically with gear, boots, my fur coat, everything. So I think it all was a perfect timing because at that point, there were hints that he was going to turn on Ziggy, and there was that whole debacle. And I'm like, this would be the perfect way for me to basically slide in and take over. And I think it just solidified that, where we both were 7 years ago for me is not nearly what we've become. And I think we've established on our own who we are and why we make such a good team. And I think it was that point where I got through my debut and my feud of AIW, and now people know who Katie Arquette is, and people know who Derek Dillinger is. And this is a match made that needs to always be.
You mentioned too going through aesthetic changes, ring gear changes for yourself. Obviously, you're always wanting to up your game. Um, who are you then in the present day? You say people know who you are. Who are you in the present day then with this kind of revamped, you still got your basics, say you got your fur and all of that, Queen of the Silver Screen, but who are you in the present day, would you say?
You mean outside of the ring or just in general, like who I've become?
Who you've become in general?
So I love that because I've always been the queen of the silver screen, right? I've
Yes.
always been known as this actress, this starlet. I'm here
Mhm.
because I've always been the understudy, and being in the ring, I'm not the understudy. And it wasn't how aesthetically changing my appearance in with gear and adding like wrist tape, adding eyelashes, adding, new hair ideas, what makes me me. And being in the production, it gave me more purpose as the leading lady of the production. I'm not just this a star is born starlet. I am the leading lady. So I went from proving that I am not the understudy to showing that I am the leading lady. I'm the main star. So that's the presence that I feel I bring to every present day. I'm not just the queen of the silver screen. I'm the leading lady of the production.
Exactly, you always want to elevate your game. It kind of goes similar. I don't know if you know who she is, but Amira from the UK went from an NPC, she said, to the main character. So it's very, very similar to that leveling up. The leading lady, I like that a lot too. There's a lot of pressure in that though too, but you've been taking it with grace, and all of that. And with that, what's it called? Leveling up. You recently had an opportunity, I know, at both actually you and Derek at Ring of Honor / AEW. I saw a photo of you guys hanging backstage with Chris Hero. I think that was on the same night that you both wrestled at Ring of Honor. Tell us about your interaction with Chris. And again, Chris also, gosh, multi decades of experience. Did you pick up anything from Chris?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've known Chris for a few years now. I
Yeah.
know that he had helped out at IWC at one point. So that was the first time I really got to meet him. And my first impressions have always been he is super helpful, and he is one of the most he's so kind and one of the most down to earth human beings I've ever met. He cares so deeply, and you can tell to those he holds very close to, he holds them to a higher standard. That little bit of tough love. And I love that because he's not going to sugarcoat anything for you, but he's also not going to belittle you at the same time. And at Ring of Honor that night, he, came up to me and we were, just talking about anything. And he was just giving me advice on my match. He was giving me advice about my career in general because him and Derek are very, very close. And, being more involved with Derek every weekend, he's definitely taken more to me to be like, okay, how can I make her better? How can I be a resource for her? And I love that because I feel like I take feedback well. I may cry by myself if it hurts too much, but I respect it and I know it's helping me. And just being with him backstage almost like made me feel like I did level up because I'm here and I'm an extra and I'm here to do a job, not
Yeah.
find a job. But I know that he is there also seeing who is there, who is doing, who is coachable. And I think that really plays a huge part. And I hope that I've met some of his standards and I hope that he continues to hold me to a higher standard because I hold him to one because he's pretty great in and out of the ring.
Was there a specific piece of feedback or about, leveling up in general that you took away from him that you could share?
So there's definitely a lot of pieces that I've gained from Chris. One
Yeah.
of the biggest thing was, believing yourself. And one of the biggest questions I had asked him early on was, promos, right? I feel like that's always been a weak point for me, which people are like, oh, how? I'm like, because I'm an actress and I read it over and over again to prove that
Yeah.
yeah. So he just gives me this encouragement to be like, you got to believe who you are and you have to believe what you're saying and you have to believe that you are meant to be here while still staying humble. And that really sat well with me because we all put in work. Some people are able to take opportunities and are given opportunities than many others. But if you don't stop and you keep going and you keep showing why you deserve to be there and believing you deserve to be there, that mindset and that confidence can really set you up for success. And that was something that I really took from him, considering all the amazing accomplishments he's made.
Well, believing in yourself and continuing to level up has lended you to landing a spot on the PWI. So, if continue to believe, Katie, and you can only go up from here, as they say.
Yes.
But I wonder what is after leading lady. That's a question to answer. What is next?
How many more
But
monikers can I add?
yeah, yeah. But let's talk about what's next. We're soon heading into God 2025. Crazy. We're about 2 months away from that. Obviously you do singles work, but you've also been revving up your tag team appearances. So from both singles wise and tag team wise, what are your goals for the next, say, 2025 next year? Both singles wise and then tag team with Derek, of course.
Yeah, so this year has been nothing but building that foundation.
Hmm.
Who we are as a tag team. People know who we are as individuals, but who are we together?
Yeah.
How do we make that impact and how do we also stand out aside from standing out individually? So earlier this year, I made it a point to really hone in on my training and I went to Cleveland I went to Cleveland every single week and trained at the AIW Academy with Derek. And, it's good to go to different schools, right? I
Mhm.
encourage everyone to go out and learn more because it's not all one way. And we had a conversation where we're like, where do we want to go with this? Is this just an AIW tag team? Is this just, if people want us, if great, whatnot? But it really brought us together on a different level where like we're gonna take this next chapter as a team. And this entire year, we have done nothing. And I give him so much more credit because he does a lot more of the outreach than I do. But I'm in the group chats to reach out to new promotions, to reach out to new wrestlers that we've connected with in other locker rooms and really networking ourselves to be like, we can have a really good match together. And I think that has done its place in fulfilling this foundation. So for next year, it's all about sailing with that foundation. We have been set up with a lot of new promotions that want to continue to have us back. We are now at a point where other tag teams want to wrestle us because we have solidified that. And, card is always subject to change, right? Things happen, holidays are coming up, but next year I can see us being in a really good spot to get some much bigger eyes on us now that we've really solidified our place on the independent scene and now seeing that everyone on the independent scene wants to see the production and that's what you'll get in 2025.
I also want to make a request to see you guys somewhere in my area. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, we will. We shall.
Um, you mentioned, obviously you've been based in Cleveland a lot for training with Derek and all that, but you recently took a little trip to Detroit for Mom's Spaghetti, the famous restaurant opened by Eminem. Tell me about your experience, and obviously, what did you eat, Katie?
Spaghetti and meatballs with extra garlic bread. And let me tell you, mom's spaghetti is amazing. If you haven't or don't know about it, find it, check it out. It's the only one in existence, which makes it more authentic.
Mhm.
And it was gorgeous inside. It was just all M&M. It was all based on mom's spaghetti. And no, it's nothing played of just M&M music, but a majority of it was. But it was a really cool environment. It was just like in the middle of the like it's I forget what street it's on, but it's almost like Stuart's Little House where it's there. It just
Yeah.
pops out of nowhere. And we're like, let's get spaghetti. Had to get the picture and everything. And it was really a fun experience. Highly recommend. And the spaghetti was 10 out of 10. Chef's kiss.
Do you recall, granted this is like actually no, this is just like a week ago, not even, right? Or something. I don't remember. Um do you recall what else was on their menu besides spaghetti? So this is
I
just selfishly.
Oh, okay. No, it was all spaghetti. So it was spaghetti, spaghetti with meatballs,
Okay.
spaghetti with a different type of sausage, and then I think spaghetti with something else. And then it all comes with half a piece of garlic toast. And then you can get a bunch of extras. So
Ooh,
extra garlic bread, extra meatballs, extra cheese. So it's very simple. If you do not like spaghetti
I
or
love spaghetti.
meatballs, it
Yeah.
might not be the place for you, but you can
Okay.
get garlic toast. But if you love spaghetti, definitely do it because it was
Okay.
so good.
Oh, I love spaghetti and I love garlic toast.
Yeah,
Okay. Might
do
need
it.
to fly to Detroit just for that. Just kidding.
Do
But I
it.
do want to try it. I've heard really good things about it. So that's exciting. Now, before we shift to Halloween, I'm so glad that you're wearing a tank top because I know you got your it's kind of newish. It's about 10 weeks old. You got this new tattoo of this intricate flower earlier this year. What's the story behind it?
Oh, I love that. I even wore it so my tattoo could show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mandala tattoo. It's very customized. It's
Yeah,
done by a wonderful artist in Cleveland, called Tatty Spice. Please go follow her. Her name is Sarah Barker. Very awesome person and does amazing work. So I love mandala tattoos, and I feel like it means circle. So for anyone that doesn't know,
yeah.
mandala means circle, and it almost means
Hmm.
like circle of life. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot happens and it's all bound and it's constantly changing. That's why there's so many designs. So when I was working on her with it, I made her we discussed like how I would want it in a more whimsical and not overlapped and more what I wanted. And she nailed it. And when people ask me that, I'm like, life changes constantly. And I feel like we're always in a constant rotation, but it's always changing. And I think this this mandala specifically gives me opportunity for more growth because of how whimsical it is and how different the outcomes could be no matter what. And, chip off my shoulders. So, and it looks good in this spot.
I don't remember, so I'm so sorry. Is this your first tattoo or do you have others? I'm so sorry.
I love that you say that
Mhm.
because it is not my first tattoo. It is
Okay.
my eighth tattoo. And
Wow.
everyone is so shocked by that because all my tattoos are in places they get missed. So when
Yeah.
I had this done, everyone was like, wow, it looks great. Is this your first tattoo? I'm like, no, it's the first one you can see.
Yeah. That's
So, but
great.
I have
Well,
one on
well,
my side, my
mhm.
back, my ankles. So I love that you asked that because I'm like, this really made an impression on people.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's a statement too, especially during the summer. And I think you can obviously once you take your coat off, you can see it when you wrestle too, and all
Yes,
that. So it
absolutely.
makes a statement.
It does.
Um, I want to switch to something that we are both fans of. We mentioned at the beginning that it is Halloween season. I know that is your favorite holiday of the year. So what are some of your favorite Halloween trends and or aspects of spooky season overall? And besides movies, of course.
Of course, because you got to binge on all the Halloween movies
Yes.
all 30 days, all 31 days. So I personally just love that people can dress up and be something different. I think that's why I love being an actress because I can
Yeah.
literally be something different every time. And with Halloween, it gives people an opportunity to get out of their comfort zone and be sexy, be scary, be ugly, or be, very intimidating. And I think it's a lot of fun and it brings people together. Plus, I love candy. I love chocolate. Like, it's one of my favorite things about Halloween, and you get free candy. And I love passing out candy because I'm old and that's where I'm at. But I just love the whole aesthetic that people can have fun with it. And the haunted houses and the hay rides and the pumpkin patches. It's all very warm colors, but can also be cool. And it just brings out, it's the start of the seasons. It's the start of the end of year holidays. And I think it's a
Crazy.
great segue to just, we're going to amp it up with some fun and then go into some warm, fuzzy feelings.
Course. Now I have to ask, I have a big sweet tooth. What are your favorite candies and or chocolates?
Oh, yeah. So my favorite candy bar is a Snickers bar. It works
Classic.
perfectly for me because I will get hangry and I'm not me when I'm angry. Love me some Reese's. Reese's cups specifically.
Hmm.
Chocolate and peanut butter, so good. And
Hmm.
then I love a little cookie crunch. So like Twix bars or even like a Milky Way, even though there's no crunch in
Hmm.
it, but like it has that cookie
Hmm.
or that caramel-esque and oh, it's so good. What about you? What candies do you like?
So you said mine. I'm a caramel whore. Like
Gosh.
that is my favorite thing. Like Twix, caramellos are really good too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I will eat any if we're talking like strictly chocolate. Actually, kind of overall, the only like candy and or chocolate I won't eat is like almond joys and mounds. Like coconut, I'm not that big of a fan of. Actually, this is also a controversial thing that people shit on me for, but I don't think mint goes with chocolate. I can't do anything mint with chocolate. Like I like mint separately, like breath mints, like gum, toothpaste, fine. With chocolate, no. Big X, Katie.
You don't like
Big
Andy's
X.
candies? Like they give you
No.
a
Like
garden?
no. And I was never a fan of the thin mints. I know it's a controversial take, but mint by itself or in gum or like breath mints it's fine. Not with chocolate. Not with chocolate for
That's
me.
fair. I hated everything you just said. I
Mhm.
hated
Yeah.
before. I've never been a mint chocolate ice cream
Yeah.
person either because
No, not even that. No. Mm-mm.
mint and chocolate
Nope.
shouldn't be together. But I think it's become, to me personally, it's become like that gin and tonic. Like it's an acquired taste because they
Mm.
do like mounds. Mounds have grown on me because I love dark chocolate and
Yeah.
I like coconut. Like Samoas are my
Yeah.
favorite Girl Scout
Yeah.
cookie. But then you do have like the Andes candies. I'm like, but those are
Mm.
good too. And then
Mm.
I did try mint chocolate chip and it wasn't bad, but I will not put it on a cone. I could not keep licking that ice cream
Yeah.
forever. I have some lines here. There's boundaries to the mint and chocolate combo.
Well, another polarizing topic because I hate this. My best friend loves it is candy corn. Candy corn is garbage. Like that is the
No,
worst.
it
Oh
is
God.
amazing. I
Oh,
love candy corn. I buy it every year, but it's only seasonal for me. I don't, people that eat it all year round are wrong, but candy corn, it has that sweetness to
okay.
it. It's so good. Oh, come on, Ella. Candy corn.
No.
It's
No.
fine.
I'll eat like anything else. No mint and no candy corn.
Well,
I
I'm
can,
gonna,
okay, honestly, I can tolerate coconut. I don't reach for it, but I can tolerate coconut and chocolate, you know? I wouldn't necessarily say I hate it as much anymore, but I don't reach for it, you know? If there's other options, I'll eat like anything else. No mint and no candy corn. Good.
you're like, I
Basically,
will grab
otherwise.
anything else. Well, next time I have a Halloween party, I will keep the candy corn and the mint chocolate
Okay.
sections
Thank you.
separate.
You can have them all yourself, Katie. So,
Good. More
my,
for
exactly. Um, I have to ask, obviously, since you are the leading lady of the silver screen now, top 3 to 5 horror slash scary movies.
Oh my goodness. I love this question. So, Scream, I'm not biased. It's naturally my favorite
I
horror
know.
movie.
Yeah.
The main
Mhm.
trilogy. The fourth one we don't talk about. Even the fifth one mocks it, but the fifth and sixth one are pretty cool too. But Scream definitely. Saw. I think Saw is one of the best horror franchises. I get it if you're not too big into gore and blood and guts because there's a lot, but it has such amazing storytelling and it really brings it full circle. So if you've never watched it, you need to, all of them, even though some of them aren't the best. And then I really love Child's Play. Like Chucky is hard. He's one of the OG horror
Hmm.
villains. And that might be an oxymoron, horror villain. Chucky has always been in my house too. My dad had the Chucky doll ever since I was little. So he's always been around. And I remember the one day my dad told my sister and I think I'm gonna throw Chucky out. We're like, no, you can't do that. And he goes, why? You hate him. I'm like, if you throw him away, he'll come back. Have you not seen the movie? Yeah,
They canceled the
exactly.
TV series I saw though.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
I didn't
that's what I
watch it.
saw.
Why'd they
Yeah,
cancel?
I don't know.
Oh, it's not good as the OG. See, people need to
Hmm.
stop remaking and revamping and just enjoy the original because the original Child's Play is pretty amazing.
You say that as Scream 7's about to come out in 2026.
I
I
know. They've
I
created
was I was gonna ask, obviously, David Arquette, he's your family. I don't know what anybody else is talking about. He's your kayfabe, in real life family. He's obviously a big face of the Scream franchise. Scream 7 is coming out in 2026. What do you want to see from Scream 7?
I don't want them to ruin it. I want them to have a nice close because the original trilogy, like I said, is 10 out of 10. The
Okay.
fourth one came out. I'm like, they ruined it. Let's not remember. Then they're like, we're going to try one more time for the fifth one. And the fifth one did make a hell of an impact. And I personally
Mm.
loved it. Even the sixth one, I'm like, okay, there's still some depth here, pros and cons. So I'm hoping that this seventh one, and seven's my favorite number, will close out this amazing horror story and bring it to a close. We need Sydney Prescott to not be haunted by this until she's 98, like Jamie Lee Curtis. Can we please? I'm hoping
Yeah.
for a massive closeout. That's what I'm hoping for. So I will be in theaters for Scream 7.
Yeah, 20, man, it's gonna be 2025, then it's gonna be 20. Where the hell is this time gone?
Fast, too fast.
I know. Um, I have to assume you've wrestled in some Halloween themed matches before, or like scary matches, or sometimes have costume battle royals. I have to imagine you've competed in some of those. Can you tell me about a memorable either Halloween themed match or some Halloween themed wrestling show that you remember competing in?
So I personally have not yet had the opportunity to really
Oh,
cosplay for Halloween.
okay.
I always wanted to, but I
Okay.
did get a pair of gear made that has the Scream mask on the back. Instead of the
Yeah.
comedy and tragedy mask, we did that, and she did a phenomenal job on them. So that was me really like, okay, this is my Halloween gear, but also like it is my family also, like
Yeah.
a jab at that. But I did love how one year we at IWC they do have, I think it was IWC, they have a battle royal. And it's nothing really Halloween-esque, but Santa usually makes an appearance. And I'm like, people should be Santa for Halloween. He's jolly, he's fun, he's ho
Nightmare
ho.
Before Christmas.
Right, like he's foreshadowing what's to come.
Hmm.
So make sure you're not on the naughty
Oh,
list. But
okay.
yeah, really haven't had an opportunity to see too many cosplays. But oh, well, this past weekend at Greektown, I was there just hanging around, and there was Scream from like Scary Movie made an appearance. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
all right. So that was interesting. That was pretty fun to watch.
Well, you haven't gotten to cosplay really in the wrestling realm yet, but I have to imagine as a fan of the holiday growing up, you probably had some memorable costumes. Tell us about either your memorable or more or favorite costume from little Katie.
Yeah, so when I was little, I loved Halloween.
Hmm.
One time I dressed up as a Dalmatian, like one of my favorite little beanie, like my Beanie Baby type
Hmm.
of take around was this Dalmatian dog. So I'm like, I'm gonna be Spot for Halloween. So I was Spot one year. I was Belle from Beauty and the Beast one year. My mom made me a shepherd one year for religious purposes, and that was interesting. Had a nice sheet on my head. But one of the things I always did was I was a vampire. I love, like we've talked about, I love the Vampire Diaries, Supernatural, anything. So I always, every year, like middle school or like up to like fifth to eighth grade, it was like vampire. I want to be a
Yeah.
vampire, but a cool vampire in ninth grade because you got to have a pillow sheet instead of your pumpkin. So,
Mm.
pick and
What
choose.
does a cool vampire look like?
I don't know. I just thought I was cool. No teeth, but blood and no
Okay.
pumpkin bucket. I have a pillowcase because that means you're cool.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So for me, I'm naturally pale, so I've always joked that I'm a vampire. So I guess, am I a cool vampire, Katie?
You are a cool vampire. You're a
Okay,
hot
thanks.
vampire. Yeah, for
Thanks.
we just need a
Final
little blood
I
coming down.
know.
Be perfect.
That'll be tomorrow. At the when this airs though, it'll be the day of Halloween. So I got you. Got you. Now, final question kind of tying in this creature spooky world with the wrestling. It Let's just pretend for an evening you're replacing Derek. Derek's injured for some reason. If you could have any fictional or mythological creature be your tag team partner for said evening, vampires are obvious. You're not allowed. What would you choose and why?
I was gonna say Klaus Michelson from Vampire Diaries. He'd be perfect. We'd win every
You
time.
would. You would.
For anyone that is a OG Vampire Diaries fan, I'd probably pick Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street because he can really mess with your
Mm,
mind and make you think what you're doing and where you are. And I think we could really solidify the mind games and come out on top,
mm.
even
Well,
though he probably messed
he's
with
got
me.
the mind games. You got the physical.
Yeah, I got the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the mind games. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be perfect. Perfect.
Now, what would your tag team name be called?
God,
Something to think about.
that's something I have. Nightmare on the production. Nightmare on set. That might work. Nightmare on set.
Trademark. You heard it here first.
Hashtag.
Exactly. Well, Katie, I wish you a very spooky Halloween and all of that. We would have it no other way. Before we let you go, can you please let the listeners know where they can find you online and support you?
Yes, please follow my page on Facebook at Katie Arquette. You can find me on Twitter, also known as the X, as the KT Arquette, because Twitter doesn't like how long my name is,
The
and
letters K and T. Yep.
KNT, and Instagram, the Katie Arquette. Please like, share, follow. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
We got to get David in there too for your tag team with
Oh,
Freddie, just so you
yes.
know.
Yeah, he could
Somebody
be a
fucking
guest ref or he could be our solidified
our
man.
third trios.
That'd be perfect.
Trios.
Come on, David. We need to get on this, please.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thank you so much, Ella. I always enjoy our conversations. Can't wait to be back.